And we're live. Welcome, everybody, here to the Lakers Lounge Podcast. I'm Anthony Irwin, just realizing it says lowdown down there at the bottom, which means we are off to a perfect start here on the show with Mirin Fader, who figured out how to use her mic. Look at that. We're
Clap it
there.
up, guys. I'm a pro now.
I am not. Like, I just put this thing together. I don't know where my actual thing went. It is still lowdown. I guess this is a lowdown episode. This is just how this is going to go for the time being. Mirin, how you holding up?
I'm good. What a day. I can't believe everything. Yeah.
I'm all right. The reason you're saying what a day is because your book, Hakeem, there we go. Hakeem, the life and legacy of Hakeem Olajuwon is now out. It is officially release day. And I wanted to just kind of ask about that, like, really quickly. You work on this for months. You go through the writing itself takes forever. The research takes forever. All of the conversations, all of it just kind of like hits you now. Like, what is the moment when you wake up today? What does that feel like? What's your first thought? Like, God, I hope I spelled my name right on the cover.
No, that's real. Oh my God. It's so anxiety provoking because like you said, you just work on this for so long and you care about it so much. Like, I don't have kids, but people compare it to like, having a child, which I don't know what that's like, but yeah, my book children here. It's very intense. And so I woke up today and I was just like, I have a book coming out. What is going on? It's actually coming out. And I was joking, is it too late to like take them off the shelves, because it's so vulnerable, you're really showing the world your art, but it's also so exciting. And people are so nice. Like the amount of people that ordered the book, it really makes me, I can't explain it. It's so nice.
So you mentioned your book babies. Which one's your favorite? Like you have two now. You have two to choose from. You have is it second child syndrome? Because the other day, all right. My favorite second child syndrome story that I have is Avery was learning how to swim over the summer, and we went
No.
home and visited my family, and my parents have their pool there, and Avery is diving, and she's just being a total rock star. The entire pool, which is my mom, my dad, my two brothers, Jen, I, all hyper focused on Avery swimming. Meanwhile, Miles is drifting off into the deep end. He's got these little floaties, and he's just like, guys, hello. So, is there such thing as a second child syndrome with books?
God. Yeah, that sounds terrifying. I think I think what is happening again, we're gonna like venture into this metaphor a little oddly. Is it like being a teen mom? I am not a teen, but I am young, so it feels like I'm still growing up with my book baby. This interview is getting so weird. Okay, I am 33 years old. I am not a teen, but I relate to this idea of you're still growing up and you're young and you're still learning and you're also, trying to have these kids. This is weird. Okay, I'm just going to say it. I very much consider myself a work in progress. I think this book, I did see improvement from myself, which made me happy. I think other people probably can't see the nitpicky things that I see, but I am hard on myself. And so I don't know, it's just really nice to kind of feel like, okay, I see growth. I see growth in myself with this one.
Yeah, that's the thing. To just kind of put a bow on the whole parenting thing, right? Is that like 99% of parenting takes place when you aren't actually parenting. You aren't like sitting them down on your lap and you're talking to them about like, the lessons of life that they have to learn. 99% of parenting is actually just existing and being a good human being and taking note of that growth, on a daily basis. So that's, look at that. We landed the plane.
Are we okay? Good.
I think we landed the plane. I think we're good now.
Okay.
What keeps
I can't podcast with you without cracking up. You are the funniest person. I mean that lovingly and respectfully.
I appreciate it. No, it's great. Yeah, I want to know first and foremost, like, this Hakeem book. I've already started listening to it. I've listened to the prologue. Prologue was great. You read that yourself, and then handed the keys over to I. Your narrator is perfect.
He's
Your
so good.
it's amazing. He was talking about the growth of Nigerian basketball and the role that Hakeem played in it, and how you could kind of count the stepping stones by the ones that Hakeem is taking,
Mhm,
early in his basketball career, and he's getting like more and more and more and more excited about Nigerian basketball. You could hear it in his voice. He's
mhm,
really, really good. But I wanted to start though with what keeps drawing you to these stories, Giannis's
mhm,
growth in Greece and Hakeem's growth in Nigeria, and like, what is it about, because there are some through lines, I believe, and we can
mhm.
get to those in a little bit, but like, what's drawing you to those kinds of stories?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I got sent to Lithuania a couple years ago to profile LaMelo Ball, it just felt like my journalism world just kind of opened. I
Mhm.
was not one of those kids that traveled overseas growing up. Like, I didn't really have that basis. And I think when I went on that trip, it just occurred to me how global basketball is, and I wanted to be a global basketball journalist. And I think that that really just kind of inspired me to take on stories that, aren't just focused in America. I think we're also at this pivotal moment where the NBA is changing. It's becoming so international. The African superstars in particular are dominating. And so I thought, I need to do this book on Hakeem because I want people to understand who paved the way for that growth, who inspired that growth, who is the first trailblazer for that growth. And so this is almost like, hey, readers, let me take you back to a world when it wasn't common. And so you can learn sort of that the prequel to Giannis almost.
I was just gonna say, you did the thing that they're doing in movies now, where the story, we've seen where Giannis has taken basketball now, but you actually went further back and you followed up the Giannis book with what really feels like a prequel. You're
Mhm.
actually it's impossible to not read slash listen. By the way, do you count listening to audiobooks as reading a book?
Absolutely. Oh my
Okay,
God,
thank you.
the
Because
snobs,
otherwise I'd
the
never read.
snobs
I
that
don't read.
don't like that when they talk about the oral tradition, we've been listening to stories for years.
Thank you, thank you. But yeah, like, I'm listening to the story, and it's impossible to not think of the impact that this is eventually going to have on your first book, and and
Mhm.
and, and the first story that you told, as well as you told it. Is that something that you were cognizant of through the writing period, the writing process?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, it was very eerie. There would be some quotes that Hakeem would say. For example, he had this really nice quote when asked, "Are you the best in the world? Are you?" This is '95. He just won his second title, and he was like, I like my game, I like myself, I like my moves, but I'm not really focused on that." And I could just like hear Giannis. It
Yeah.
was so eerie. There's so many like humble quotes, or the stuff about failure, or even like when the whispers started, Hakeem, will you feel confident if you don't win a title? It just I was getting so many Giannis vibes throughout the whole book. And there are obvious similarities. They're both late bloomers. Giannis started at 13, Hakeem at 17. They're both from the same Nigerian tribe. Giannis actually shows up near the end of the book. But they are different in
Spoiler
a
alert. Come on.
sorry. they're they're actually pretty different. So bad at this. It's not even funny. Um, I can't. They are so similar, but they're different. I think Giannis
Yeah.
is becoming more and more comfortable, like in the public eye, and sharing more of himself, which is really cool. But also, I see so much of the similar. And Hakeem is more private, but I do see some of the same racism. There was an editorial in '95 that I'm thinking of that is in the book about Hakeem, and they say, his name is too hard to pronounce, and they say he's not marketable because they prefer an American guy. And you're just like, I remember these exact things being written about Giannis.
Yeah. Yeah. Hakeem is too hard to pronounce.
Elijah, they literally
That's insane.
it's in the chapter about his sneakers because he did that differently and wanted to sell affordable sneakers. And there was this huge editorial in the New York Times basically saying, Olajuwon won these 2 championships, but why did major endorsement deals elude him? And they had all these dog whistle quotes about, the advertisers prefer a quote American guy, and
Mhm.
they just othered him throughout his entire career.
It continued after his career
Yeah.
because I think you can, in my opinion, Kareem is the most underrated basketball player of all time because for whatever reason, it's like LeBron or Jordan are just like that's the conversation as far as GOATs ever. And you look at Kareem's career and it's like, this guy's not bad. Like
Mhm.
we
Mhm.
can maybe make a little room in that conversation there. But Shaq has Hakeem as third best center of all time,
Mhm.
and I think if you talk to the players, it's really clear that Hakeem belongs in those conversations for best basketball players ever. I have him in my top 10 and feel really good about it, and maybe even higher depending on the day. Frankly, why do you have a theory on what happened here with Hakeem? Is it partially because he's private, or do you think there was something that, became habitual during his playing career?
I think it's a mix of a couple of things. I think the fact that even during his career, after his biggest achievement, he was still underrated at that time, which has to do with not just racism but Islamophobia. He was very much deep in his religion. I think that is part of it.
Yep.
But I think it's really about the way he's forgotten now on these all time lists. Instead of Obama, listen to Obama. Obama knows what's going on. Tell me
Hmm.
you saw that. Um, yeah,
You
I
mean
shot my
Obama, the basketball fan?
he did his top 5, and I was like, "Hey, Obama, stop from half court." Anyway,
Yeah.
embarrassing. It's fine. But yeah, so I think it's because Hakeem is such a private person. Unlike his counterparts, Kenny Smith and Chuck and Shaq, like he didn't go on NBA TNT. He didn't go into coaching, and he's not on social media. A lot of the previous generations of legends, they are so visible, and I think because Hakeem is not visible, I think that's part of the reason why younger generations, they don't see him, they don't identify with him. But if you look at the current generation of basketball players, like NBA players, the respect for him is enormous.
Yeah.
That's why Giannis worked out with him. That's why LeBron worked out with him, which
Right.
is where the book starts. Kobe Bryant. And last thing I'll say is, speaking of all the ways that, people like Shaq that I interviewed respect him, some of my favorite interviews were former Lakers because in '86 they played against the Rockets. And to hear, people like Michael Cooper just absolutely be like, I hated going against Dream, but he was
Yeah.
the best. And Michael Cooper, the phenomenal defensive player who loved seeing him get his shine this weekend, was like, I got caught mesmerized watching him sometimes. That
That's insane.
defensive stopper was mesmerized by Olajuwon.
Well, think about Michael Cooper being mesmerized by Olajuwon when he spent his entire career playing with Kareem.
I know.
That's
And
insane.
here's the thing too. There was I loved this anecdote during that '86 series. It was such a shocking thing that the Rockets were going to play the Lakers. And everyone was saying, of course the Lakers are going to beat the Rockets. They're going to go and play against the Celtics. It'll be the traditional rivalry. And Hakeem is like, sorry, you guys want to doubt us? We're gonna kick
Yeah.
out. And so he's absolutely killing it. It's like his coming out party. It looks like the past with Kareem and then this future with Hakeem, and he's not afraid of Kareem. And Kareem still has amazing stat lines. I don't want to get that confused. He did. But there was this anecdote that the former Lakers PR director told me. They were at practice, and Pat Riley, you could just tell that he and Kareem just sort of looked a little helpless, like, how do we stop this guy?
What
Like,
do we do?
what do we do? And
Yeah.
that's Kareem.
Yeah. It's incredible. I also have another theory on this. This is a little tinfoily. I'll grant it, but Hakeem's titles took place in
I
the
knew you were gonna
middle
say that.
of MJ's prime, right? MJ steps away. He wins those 2 championships. I think it's a stretch of time that the NBA would prefer that we all kind of forget, like Michael stepping away. Michael Jordan certainly one of the most brand forward players, athletes ever, would also prefer that you forget that he just at the peak of his powers was like, yeah, I don't really have that competitive fire right now. I'm going to go play baseball. And that's when Hakeem wins his 2 championships. And I kind of feel like there are some forces at play there that are like, yeah, he won those. And on top of the fact that like he didn't actually beat Michael for those titles, not only will we use that as ammunition to not consider them legitimate, but also the fact that it is somebody who is a very private guy who's not going to talk about him. Like if you listen to the members of the 2020 Lakers talk about their championship, anytime anybody throws any doubt on the legitimacy of those titles, LeBron, Dwight, everybody says, F you guys, that is just not true. That is a legitimate title. But Hakeem has never cared.
I
Hakeem is
know.
like, he's so almost singularly confident. Like I listen to Shaq talk about centers, and I sense like a lack of confidence in Shaq sometimes when he talks about him. Hakeem is just such a quiet, like confident person. It's like, I mean, you can if you want, but I still won those titles. I'm gonna go exist over here and do better things in the world than argue with you about the legitimacy of my titles.
I mean, that's what's so refreshing about him is like, and I think it goes back to his religion of this idea of you don't seek praise. You don't need to show and tell everyone that you're amazing. Like if you do what you're supposed to do and you work hard, like people will see it.
Yeah.
I just love that quiet confidence from him. But yes, I think all Houstonians are so sick of that Jordan argument. They would, counter, but look, when they did play them, he did so well against Jordan. But
Mhm.
the thing with Jordan that I will say is more productive, I just think the fact that Hakeem was selected over Jordan in the 84 draft, and to this day, Rockets fans aren't like, we should have taken Jordan, is
Yeah.
such a testament to the way Hakeem is valued in that city, that franchise. That's amazing.
I live out here in Texas, and I was telling some of my friends out here. Now I live in Austin. I don't live in Houston, but I was telling some of my friends just in text messages. Yeah, I'm getting ready to interview my buddy who wrote the Hakeem book, and they're like, no way, like,
Oh,
and so like it's a thing,
yeah.
his grasp of this entire region is unquestioned, and again, I think it really I think he would care to the extent that like he loves the impact that he would make on a region. I don't, like you said, I don't think he would care about the actual praise. But that is like his impact out here in Houston is indelible. And the book opens, the prologue opens on his 400-acre ranch in the outskirts of Houston, right where
Yeah.
LeBron is learning Hakeem's moves. This is taking place right after JJ Barea locked down LeBron in one of the weirdest things that I
How old
I
are
have.
we? Honestly, I thought I was bringing it to the present, and I was on a podcast yesterday, and they were like, that was a really long time ago.
I mean, it was 2 teams ago. But it's just But I'm looking at and again, my favorite thing about guys like Hakeem and great players like Hakeem is they are so confident in their abilities and in their legacy that they are. Not only is Hakeem willing to celebrate, the guys of the greats of today, but he's also willing to help them get better, hopefully than him, right? The whole point of mentorship and the whole point of tutoring and teaching is to one day look at the pupil and say, all right, you took that extra step beyond me here. And he still seems so okay with that. That seems to be the whole point.
Yeah, and it's extraordinarily rare. I mean, people of his caliber, they are not super open to sharing their secrets. They don't want people to surpass them on the all-time list. But I know I got to listen to actually to the call that LeBron made to Hakeem, and
Wow.
Hakeem was just like so I don't know, not touched, but just like wow, LeBron is asking me. Like, it's just really cool. The humility on both sides. Like, LeBron was
Yeah.
so sincere about wanting his help and the respect that he had for him. And a lot of people that went to those workouts told me that, like, LeBron really struggled at first. Like, these moves are complex. It's not a matter of just like, oh, okay, up fake, up and under. I mean, it's really complex. And the amazing part is that Hakeem is not like off to the side, directing him. He's in the drill with LeBron. It is like past and present. They're both, I mean, Hakeem is like sweating harder than
Sweating
LeBron.
through
It's amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing. And I really think this legacy of mentorship is such a theme of the book. I don't think that Hakeem becomes the mentor that he becomes to LeBron, Kobe, Giannis, all these people if he didn't have somebody like Moses Malone teaching him, the lay of the land. So it's like you always keep inspiring the next generation.
You hear that, podcasters? Come on over here and I'll teach you how to do it.
I'm inspired, Anthony. There you go. I'm inspired.
Last thing before we move on to the second topic of the show, we're going to talk about Bronny here in a second. But the last thing is, you mentioned the mentorship and that being a pivotal aspect of the book. If there was one thing that you would want people to walk away from the book, a lesson learned or something, a detail that you really want to hammer home here, what would that be?
Okay, so this is my favorite anecdote. After they win the second title in 95, Olajuwon has all but cemented his like trip to the Hall of Fame. He is just on top of the world. He cannot do better than Olajuwon. And instead of being, super arrogant or super cocky, he goes backstage to where he's supposed to talk to the media. And Dr. Jack Ramsay, who was doing the ESPN show at the time,
Mm-hmm.
he was supposed to interview Olajuwon for like a segment before Olajuwon went to the rest of the media. And Olajuwon's so like in awe of Coach Ramsay, and he's like, "Coach, how did I do?" And I just thought that was the most him thing ever because
Yeah.
it's and Ramsey was just like so touched. He's like, Hakeem, like you did great, like you're
You did
great,
all
like
right.
you did all right, But I just love the sincerity of like wanting to know how you did and then like asking for advice. And so I guess I want to leave readers with this: like, you are never too big time to learn, and
Yeah.
you are never too accomplished to be a good person to other people. You should just like give and help other people without seeking praise. And that's really what I learned from doing this project.
Awesome. I love it. It's been phenomenal so far. I love listening to books and stuff.
Mhm.
I had like a ton of laundry to do. It's just
Clutch.
it's insane how much laundry, how much
No, it
a
never
part of
ends.
life laundry is.
Oh,
It
laundry and
when you get
dishes.
older.
No, it's
It's
the
just,
worst. Never ends.
and then you get kids, and it's just like butt wiping is it just nudges itself in there.
Maybe I stick to the book, kids. I don't
Yeah,
know.
don't
Maybe.
don't
Okay.
have kids.
Got it.
It's
Okay.
don't. But
I knew we had to return to it.
it's a tough segue to go from that to talking about
You know
Bronny.
what? Just pivot hard. Pivot hard. We have
I'm
another
just gonna
child. There you go.
I'm gonna I'm gonna pretend that last line didn't happen. We're gonna talk about Bronny's situation.
No, the pivot is coming. There you go. Turn, make that left turn. Just
Yeah,
real
yeah.
quick.
So you wrote about Bronny a few months ago now at this point, right? Time flies.
Yeah. Wow.
And you wrote about, kind of how how things went at USC, and part of what I saw, from that piece, and I saw it again when Baxter wrote about it more recently, is how sealed off Bronny is to the rest of the world.
Mhm.
And I remember it at his introductory press conference. I was kind of joking with some people behind the scenes, and I was like, "This kid looks like he should have gotten some reps into talking to the media while he was at USC." And now you fast forward to here today, literally hours ago, Bronny is or LeBron is asked about how Bronny feels about this, and he kind of snaps at the reporter, says, "You can ask him about it." Issue is, it's kind of tough to, because he still is really well protected, whether it be by LeBron and his media arms, and by the Lakers, who are playing a very active role in making sure Bronny looks good. And all the while, like I actually went back and reread Baxter's piece, and I went back to try to find instances where Bronny says, "It's my dream. This is my dream to play in the NBA." And what winds up happening is that it's a whole bunch of people saying that it's Bronny's dream, it's Bronny's dream, it's Bronny's dream. And this is the part of it that I just feel the worst about, is that I just feel there's no control here for Bronny. And that was one of the things I thought you absolutely leveled in your piece. So now, having written it, having paid a little attention to where things stand right now, how do you feel about the Bronny experience, or the experience Bronny has been having, in his first month or so of being a Laker and playing with LeBron?
Well, first, I just want to say, like, Baxter is one of the best journalists we have. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just like in awe of him. That piece was so good and so important. Um,
That and the West piece, just back to back, was
oh
just
my
two
God.
straight haymakers.
Oh
I was
my
just
God.
for some
Baxter,
reason, I have his number, and I texted him twice. I was like, "Hey, man, I'm sorry I'm bugging you at this point, but you just keep killing it." So,
oh my
like, if
God, he's the
it's
best among us. My
kill it.
God.
Yeah.
Just continuing to like set the torch. My God. But the Bronny thing is hard for me because when I did that story, I felt like similar to now, um, he didn't have agency. And there was this whole like he wants to be his own man thing, but then he like can't because they won't let him talk. And I thought,
Yeah.
okay, well, maybe that will change when he turns pro and we'll finally get to like hear him and like have him speak authentically. And I think this is an issue with so much of NBA media is even when you do get a person, for 3 minutes, he's not going to say, you know what, guys, it's been a really rough journey. I had a heart attack and everyone expects me to be amazing. And this is hard. And, that's just not the type of access. That's not the type of interiority you're getting. And so I feel bad that we don't have his interiority. I think my piece really tried to give empathy to him and show what it's
Yeah.
like to be in his shoes because I witnessed just horrific fans taunting him, from the time the game starts to it ends. And I just wish that I hope for him that he can own his narrative and speak more. But it's kind of like it's tough because LeBron and them want it both ways. He's his own man, ask him. But then, oh, wait, you actually can ask him. And if you do, you only have 2 minutes off to the side in the corner,
Yeah.
which is not really authentic, journalism. I wish he would have done pieces with not just, I'm not just saying myself because I did that piece, but I wish he would have spoken to Baxter. I wish he would speak to Wright Thompson. I wish that,
Yeah.
these pieces exist because it's sort of the argument about not going to traditional media. Well, it's like, do we know Bronny any better for not going that route? I don't think we do. I don't
I'd
think
even I'd
him
even
creating
take
their
him
own
on
narrative is helping. Yeah.
I'd even take him on something from Uninterrupted. Like, just
Yeah.
even
Something.
in, like, anything, any instance where he gets to sit in front of a camera and actually, be 100% honest and open about the situation, because it is truly unique. And I find everybody looking at it from LeBron's perspective, or I find everybody looking at it through their prism of, man, it would be great to be a Laker. And I'm like, can we just like sit down and think of it from the actual kid's perspective? Could we just, like, for a second, hit the brakes here and see how he might actually feel about this? And that's been the toughest part about all of this. But I've taken up too much of your time. You are extremely busy as you get out there and tell everybody about your book. I'll put it back here on the screen one more time. This is Mirin Fader's Dream, the Life and Legacy of Hakeem Olajuwon. It has been fantastic to this point. Mirin, I'm really, really proud of you. I'm really, really, like, I brag about the fact that I get to consider you a friend of mine and a friend of the show. So congratulations on this book. Nothing but the best success for you. Anything that you want to plug specifically about it, send people to events. I'm going to get out of the way.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for being such an amazing friend. I love coming on here. It's literally so fun. Hi, Harrison. I love talking to you too. But Anthony
He
and I,
just
we have our own.
retweeted this thing. He's
Yeah.
probably like, what the hell? What?
I love you guys so much. No, I in LA, doing a signed drive with Skylight Books. So if you want me to like personalize it to you or a family member or something or a holiday gift, like please, the link is on my Twitter or my X, whatever, and on Instagram because now I know how to use Instagram. And yeah, we have an event actually tonight at Chevalier's, but I know this will run later maybe, but
No,
the
it's live.
29th.
This is going right
Okay.
now.
Okay, great. Yeah, tonight at Chevalier's at 6, and then on the 29th at Village Well in Culver City. So that's going to be really fun.
Awesome. Yeah, I am gonna ask for you to personalize a book and just I'm just gonna make you write the meanest things about Harrison.
I can't wait.
All right. And on that note, that is Mirin Fader. This has been the Lakers Lounge. We have a Lakers game here in a matter of hours or so. So right after the game, Raj and I will be live breaking that down. But I really do hope that you guys check out Mirin's book. It's fantastic. The Giannis book was incredible, and she says that she saw growth in herself. So this somehow might be better. It's unfathomable. See, I speak for a living. Mirin, have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much. You too.
Bye, everyone.